And so we are getting to our next segment, which is going to be a one-on-one interview with a gentleman who has checked probably all 5 of these boxes based on my knowing of him, and I've known him for, probably close to a decade and a half now. And so the reason why it's important that we're putting people up here that have checked these boxes is because I want to hear exactly what they're doing to succeed in whatever that box might be. Because the reality is, a lot of the people that you're going to hear from over the next 3.5 days are doing far better than even I in certain areas. And so this particular individual I've known, like as I mentioned, for a long time. And this is really cool. He's no stranger to us. He's been to our events. He's been on panels before. But we've never actually had a one-on-one conversation. And the reason why we're having a one-on-one conversation is because, kudos to him, by the way, there's been a lot of buzz around what he's doing to build a business. And everyone are hearing, oh, YouTube Ken. Yeah, you just got to follow YouTube Ken. Oh my gosh, he's built such a big business on YouTube. And just go follow him and figure it out. And I've kind of always thought in the back of my mind, well, wait a minute, I want to know, like, first of all, how did he become known as that, right? How did he choose that as the method? And generally, by the way, this particular individual, which you're going to hear the story, so I'm not going to give it all away, but picked up his entire family and moved to another city across the country and built a pretty big business within just a few short years. And so you're about to hear for the next 30 minutes or so exactly how he did it. And we're going to jump into some of those discussions, especially as it relates to video, because that's one of the things that's important to consumers today. So if you would mind, please do me a favor and join me in welcoming Mr. Ken Pozek to the stage. Come on up, Ken.
Hey, man.
What's up, brother?
Good to see you.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Ken?
What's up, man?
Well, I want to start, if it's all right with you, because a lot of people in the audience don't know. Tell us a little bit about when you got started in the business in Detroit. This is when we met, like I said, probably 15 years ago or so.
Yeah.
Give us a little bit of the background of kind of what you got started in and what you were doing in Detroit, and then we'll get into how you made the decision to pack up your family and move down here, and we'll go into now what you're doing, because I know a lot of people want to hear the techniques you're using specifically as it relates to YouTube.
Yeah.
So let's first take it from the beginning. Talk to us about your early days of your real estate career.
So right out of high school, I started buying houses. Remember, like 03, like anybody could buy a house. Like anybody could get a mortgage.
Well, not here, but in Detroit, houses. For those of you that don't know that, and I guess Orlando too was hit pretty hard.
Yeah.
In Detroit, homes were selling for like $1.40, and when I say $1.40, I'm talking like $1.40, like 1.40.
Yeah.
And I mean, some of them they were just giving them away if you'd cover the taxes. So you got into real estate investing.
Yeah, I did.
Got it.
And so did well, right before the crash. And then we flipped like 13 homes, 2 commercial buildings, like things were going well, and then the market everywhere just got decimated.
That's right.
So I was like, in 08, I'm going to just, hey, why not go into real estate? Now it's a great time.
Perfect time to do it.
Yeah,
I love
exactly.
it.
So I joined Coldwell Banker. Lloyd recruited me somewhere, and he was like, "Oh, you got to meet this guy." Yeah, there he is. You're like, "You got to meet this guy, Jeff Glover. He's amazing on the phones and this and that." I'm like, "I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm going to try to go somewhere else." But anyways,
That wasn't really your style.
that wasn't my style. Yeah. So we built a business. It was like sphere farming, old school, open house kind of stuff, right? And we had a really profitable business. We did about 40 million in sales in 2016. And my wife and I looked at each other and we said, "We're always in Florida. The goal is always to get to Florida. Why don't we just start over and try it again?" So that was what we did.
And in 2017, you moved down here then?
Yeah, late 16, early 17, yeah.
Got it. And so you packed up entire family.
Yep.
And you picked Orlando. Why'd you pick Orlando?
It was either Orlando or Naples for us. Like, we were always in Orlando for Disney, but then looking at the growth that's happening here, there's a lot of companies relocating their people here, and there was really no like massively dominant agents. And I was like, I feel like there's so many agents, but nobody killing it. I could go take market share. I'm, Detroit hustle kind of thing, right? Why not? And
you knew. I'll never forget that conversation. And what I heard in that is it's very similar to what it relates to what Jeff Henderson was talking about. You knew that you had a better chance of being known for something here because there wasn't a lot of agents that were really known for anything, right?
Correct. Yeah, you got it right.
Got it. So you did your research and you picked Orlando and you started. When did you first start? Like your first listing appointment in Orlando? When was it?
Probably February of 17.
February 17.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. How'd it go, by the way?
I got it.
You got the listing?
Yeah, for
All
sure.
right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously Ken is a sharp individual. He knows his scripts inside and out. And I know in the beginning he said, yeah, you know, the phone prospecting isn't really my thing. But my understanding is you absolutely nail it on a listing appointment and you nail it on a buyer consultation because of your knowledge of the scripts.
That's right, yeah.
And the time you spent perfecting your craft.
Yeah, we're still super scripted, and I definitely, we still role play, we still go through all that stuff. So, things, for us, we leveraged kind of like our history of what we were doing, and I was like, I've been in the business for 8 years. It didn't matter that I had just moved to Orlando.
Yep.
They didn't know any difference, and so using those same exact scripts, they work everywhere. It's like they work in Detroit, they work in Orlando, and wherever else you're from.
Awesome. So at what point in time in your business did you make the decision to really double down on video? Well, first, how did you, well, let's start with this. How did you discover or come up with the fact that video was going to kind of be your thing? I'm guessing it probably happened organically. Was it intentional? Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it was 17, and I was like, I had built a decent business, and I had some money set aside, and I was like, you know what, I want to hurry up and get back to the production I was doing in Detroit here. So I got radio ads and Zillow and all of I spent a ton of money without a lot of results.
Yep.
And so I'm burning through cash, and I'm like, there has to be some other way that I can go back and do this a little bit on the cheap.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So when you first broke into Orlando, if you will, you used a lot of what you observed was working in Detroit, and it was obviously extremely expensive and wasn't giving you immediate results.
Correct, yeah.
So then how did you, you know, I'm sure there had to have been days where you're questioning, like, man, did we make the right decision here?
Yeah.
I mean, talk us through that process.
Yeah, it was easily the first couple of years we were trying to like, this is for us, did I make a mistake? You know, the research said it would be good, but it's not really working out the way I was.
Yeah,
but then,
or I'm not getting the results that I'm hearing the other guys are getting.
That's right, yeah, that's right. And so I really had to go back and say, like, is this me? Is this the model that I really want to go after anyways? And so a friend of mine in Jacksonville was like, hey, I'm building this YouTube channel. I've been doing these builder models, just walkthroughs and that kind of thing. And it goes okay. Like every once in a while, people call me. And I was like, huh, and so what does that cost you? He's like, I do it all on my computer, it's free. Cool, so I was like, I need to get to know the market anyways. I want to become an expert, so when I go on a listing presentation, I can say about all of the sales, all of the builder models, all of that. So I'm just going to film my process while I'm here. And I did that I did 100 videos in 100 days and just uploaded them on YouTube, not really knowing what would happen. And then by video 80, I got a call, and they're like, "We want to build a house, this $800,000 home."
So you were video number 79, and you're like, "Oh, I got to keep going through with this, right?"
Yeah.
You hadn't had any results with it.
Yeah.
And it was number 80 that you got your first call.
Correct. Yeah. And so to me, it felt like something to figure out. Like I love that process of like digging in. Like there's something here. I know there's something here. Other people are successful.
Yeah.
I just have to keep going until I figure it out. And so I just knew that time on task, I'd get better.
Yeah.
And so I just kept rolling on it.
So when you first did video, you know, some people might hear 100 videos in 100 days. I mean, are we talking like selfie videos? Did you have someone follow you, or what did that look like?
It was literally just my cell phone and a gimbal, like a DJI Osmo gimbal. And then at night I would edit it on iMovie. It was all completely free.
Yep. So little gimbal, or like, you know, selfie stick, but a nice one that kind of balances the camera type of thing, right? And you were doing your own editing at night, you know. So let's just say, first of all, what was the average length of your video back then?
3 to 4 minutes.
3 to 4 minutes, got it. And give us examples of what types of things you videotape. Like, how did you decide, oh, that's going to be something good to capture? I'm going to capture that, right? How did you come up with that?
So eventually, in that 100, I did a video on like the top 10 things people don't know about Celebration, Florida, which is like a town Disney built. And I'm like, it's going to have decent eyeballs. And it went like 10, 20,000 views like in a week.
Yep.
Like, oh, I'm onto something. And then we started getting a ton of calls from that video.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I've been doing it wrong the whole time.
Yeah.
And so I need to start shooting more content that people care about.
How did people find that video? Meaning, if I'm in the audience, I haven't done a ton of video, and we're going to hear over the next 3.5 days, you're going to hear us talk about short form, long form, reels, stories, all of that. What was it about that video that got the exposure? Like, how did the 10,000 people find it?
It was 100% organic. So it was like, YouTube is owned by Google, and so if somebody's typing, they're thinking about moving to Detroit or moving to Dallas, they're going to go to Google and look at like moving to or best neighborhoods in or living in your town. And so that just organically got picked up by people looking for things in Celebration.
Got it. So it actually had a little bit to do with the title and probably the description.
Yeah, and so that's really where we're at now. So that was in like mid-17, we started YouTube, and now we've got it dialed into a science. So really about the title, the descriptions, the thumbnails, all that kind
And
of
we'll
stuff.
get into that in just a minute, because I promised a lot of our audience members when we were doing half-day sessions, hey, when we have Ken up there, we're going to talk about the how, because everyone knows if they know of you, they know that you've had very recent, and some might even say like quick success with YouTube, although you'd argue you've been working at it for a while. And instead of just hearing about the success, I want to know how you had the success, right? So let's keep talking back in 2018 or whatever, when you started on this journey with video. You're taking your gimbal around and you made the commitment to do 100 videos in 100 days. You did the one on 10 things you wouldn't know about celebration. Give us some other examples of videos you did in those 100, because I'm sure some of them were flops, right?
Yeah, there's tons. Even today, I'm constantly looking at, rankings and that kind of thing. Some of them, you don't knock out everyone out of the park. But if I can get 4 out of 5 to do well, then I'm happy. So at the time, it was like, okay, I'm onto something. I still don't understand why. And so I started using YouTube University, which is just YouTube, right? Figuring out YouTube algorithms, why things work, why things show up in search, why other ones don't. I mean, you can create the most amazing video tour of a home and not get found. Why is that? And so we just kind of became a student of it. And I just committed to, okay, now I'm not going to do one every day, because I need to make them a little bit better quality.
Yeah, you got to put more time into it.
Yeah. So then we dropped down to 1 a week, and I haven't missed in years now.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because on the tours I've been challenging audiences, which some of you have been in these tours, to do 1 video a week, and you can do them on different platforms. It doesn't always have to be YouTube, which of course we'll be talking about that over the next few days. But I want to hear more about the 100 videos, right? What were some other examples? So if I'm in the audience, I'm saying, okay, I would consider this video thing, I could be convinced on it. Give me some actual ideas of things that I should be videoing. Right. So you've given us a couple. Let's keep going on that.
Yeah. So in those first 100, I mean, I wouldn't replicate those at all. So the next 100 we started getting in. So it was really like anything that so a buyer calls your team and they're like, hey, we just got this new job with GM and we're relocating to the area. What are some questions that they ask? It's like they want to know about the schools. They want to know about neighborhoods. Are there new construction options or no? What are some towns that are safe or not safe? Or what are great dining options, right? So start shooting videos around that, because that's what people really care about. And so the next 100 videos that we did were all around those kind of topics. We knew we couldn't probably rank, or I knew I couldn't really rank for like moving to Orlando, because it's like it's a big topic. Like, I mean, there's a lot other content fighting for that keyword. A lot of competition,
that's right.
Yeah, and so I started, after that first 100, we started doing videos of like moving to Windermere and Winter Garden and Kissimmee and all the areas around Orlando, until I had authority with Google, and then we started hitting some of those big keywords.
Got it. So you actually didn't play in the big boy space. You went for the small stuff in the specific neighborhoods, right?
Yeah, because even if you don't get 10,000 views, but you got 300, and 100 of those people are actually looking to move over the next year.
Who cares?
Who cares, right?
Because it's a high quality content. Because the more specific, you could probably argue, the more specific it is, the higher the quality of the prospect it is.
You nailed
right?
it, yep.
Because they're searching for a specific neighborhood or specific school district or whatever.
Exactly.
So let's stay on the topic just for a few minutes on themes that you're using, right? So things that people want to know, about the schools, about the community, about the walkability, about the restaurants. What else? What are some other, when you think about your most successful videos that you've shot and the most views that you've got, what was the theme of those?
I mean, the most successful one, I filmed Shaq's house, which was a fun. We got almost 1 million views on that one so far.
I'm sure.
And that one was really just me prospecting the listing agent and saying, hey, it's not selling. Can I bring my videographer out and just do a normal tour like we do on a house?
Yep.
But we knew how to use the keywords and the thumbnails and all this other stuff, and it got, took off.
Yep.
Did I sell it? No, but I had multiple NBA players reach out, and we did like 10 million in business from that one video that specifically mentioned, we found that Shaq video, you obviously know that market, we want to work with you.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what a lot of people need to realize on the YouTube stuff is like, you got to figure out who's your ideal buyer or seller.
Yep.
And then go shoot content for them.
Yeah.
So is it the person with kids moving to the area that wants this general area? Great, you shoot content around that.
Yep.
And now all of a sudden you're working with more people that are your ideal clients.
Yeah. So you actually reached out to the listing agent and said, hey, I think I could shoot this, and hey, it's your listing, I'll give you credit for the listing, or you'll do the minimum required in the comments or whatever, but I really would like to display this, and maybe I can help generate a buyer, and we can sell it, and we can co-op, and most agents, of course not all agents, but most agents will say, sure, have at it, do what you want, right? And that was the case in this situation.
That's right, yeah. And so beyond that, okay, other videos to shoot. So it's best places to live in your hometown. Mm-hmm. It's top 5 reasons why to move here. Top 3 reasons, and none of these numbers are
top 5 reasons to move to blank city. Top 3 reasons to move, into this neighborhood or whatever. Right?
Exactly. Things to avoid when moving to X, right? Just kind of things that are going to be clicky that people are going to be searching for. That you can show up.
Things to avoid. Anything that has almost like a, 5 mistakes you could make by doing this, right? Any type of, almost like a negative title actually gets more attention.
That's right, yeah. And so you don't want it to be clickbait, right? You want to give them some reasons why not to, right? So we did one, top 5 reasons not to move to Orlando, and I very quickly went through the top 5, and I was like, but here's reasons why you actually want to.
Yes.
And then that was really the length of the video.
Right, yep, that's smart. That's real smart. That's called a hook, by the way.
There you go, yeah.
So when you look at now, let's fast forward to more recent, right? You've had all this trial and error, and you did the 100, and then you did another 100, and of course, 1 a week is now what you're averaging. What would you share in terms of, all right, guys, if you're looking to get into video and you're looking to take your business to the next level with video, where should they start?
So I think understanding who that ideal person is, and then just being massively committed to it long term. So for those of you guys that are like farmers, or even if you're calling expireds or for sale by owners, it takes time to get your pipeline. It takes time to get good, right? And so many folks will send out one postcard when they're farming, or they'll do one video and then they quit. And so I bank on that at this point. And so I would say if you're going to do it, commit to it for like 6 to 9 months before you really start to see any kind of results.
What would you say to the agent that's afraid to get behind the camera? Because I find that's, by the way, 90% of them.
Yeah, by far.
So what would you say to that agent?
So I think that anything that you do more of, you're going to get better of. And so like, I remember the first time, there's a town called Northville, which is not too far from where we grew up. And I remember the first time I went on a listing presentation, I was like shaking, right? Because I didn't know the market as well. I had never been there.
You knew I was probably going on it too.
Yeah, that's for sure. Shaky, yeah, I had to close him hard or he would. So it was like, I didn't know, but then the more you do, the better you get. Like the first open house you did, you weren't great. Right? You were awkward. People were like, you're like, sign in. And they're like, I don't want to sign in.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to get out of here. So the more you do, the better you get. And so I think you just got to commit to doing those long term and understand, like, you can't find my first 40 or 50 videos on my YouTube channel because they were so bad I've hidden them. So that's the thing. Like, I wasn't good at this. And
I was going to say, you're very charismatic. And for as long as I can remember, you've been charismatic. But you're also pretty high analytical, right? You've always been kind of the high C on the disc profile. And of the 4, the analytical and the amiable would probably, in my opinion, be the first to say, I'm not getting behind a camera, right? I might screw up. Analyticals want to be perfectionists, right? And so, I want to edit this thing, and I'm going to reshoot it. So how did you get over that? Because you probably, at some point in time, had to come to this realization that, all right, it doesn't have to be perfect, Ken. I just got to get it out there, right? Like, how did you overcome that?
I think a big thing with YouTube is that you can always go back and edit out. Like, so now if I was going back, I would hire an editor. I wouldn't do it myself. And you can go to Upwork or so many other places and hire an editor for like $50 or $60 to edit a video. But they can get through stuff so quick to get rid of your ums and your likes and just make you a little bit more polished. And the realization that most people are drawn to authenticity was like this big aha for me. Actually, the more perfect it is, the less people want to reach out.
Boom.
So if you are just more yourself and you're just like, making fun of the process, that's actually really cool. So that would be step number 1. 2,
That's a great point, by the way. The more perfect it is, the less likely they will be able to reach out, especially today, because people want that authenticity.
They do. They really do. So the second thing I would say is you've got so many opportunities on Instagram for stories and reels and all these things to where you just get on there and you're just, hey, I'm here at this local restaurant and we're gonna try out this new whatever it is. You can get better at it by using stories. And they're gone after 24 hours. Who cares? And so that gives you more opportunity to practice.
And so you would recommend, if you're at a restaurant and you have a good experience, check in or put something on your story. Of course, you could. When do you make the decision? And I know you've spent a lot of time on YouTube, so let's stick with that for a moment. But have you dabbled in the other stuff, like Instagram Reels and Facebook Story? Do you spend time in any of that? Or are you mostly dialed in on YouTube? And I don't want to be distracted with the other stuff.
So year to date, it's been mostly YouTube, although last year I started inviting people to follow me over on Instagram. So like, hey, if you guys enjoy this video, follow me over on Instagram because I'm putting out insights into Orlando every single day, the stuff that doesn't make it into these videos. And I tell you what, the funnel now becomes people follow me on YouTube, they subscribe, they follow me on Instagram, and then they follow me for sometimes a year and a half, 2 years, and then reach out. On Instagram. And they're like, hey, we've been following your YouTube journey for a really long time. It seems like you're a legit guy. We want to work with your team.
Love that. So would you probably were backstage thinking like, man, this is good stuff in terms of the image that you portray and the message that you're putting out is so important.
It really is.
Right? I mean, that you just confirmed that in your realm of video, the image that you're portraying and the person that you are showing, social media and YouTube, so forth, that you are, is what's causing people to follow and to like and to now, of course, engage and reach out to you directly.
Yeah, that's one of the beautiful things about video too, and social in general, is that like they've already, you hit it on the head where you said it used to be that afterwards you'd follow up with your reviews and all that other stuff. They've already done all of that.
Yes.
So like they're so bought in now. Like when I go on a listing presentation, I'm almost always the only one. Or if they're asking us to buy a house, it's not because we're a commodity at this point, where they're talking to 10 other Zillow agents.
Isn't that
like,
interesting?
We want to work with you.
Yeah, isn't it interesting how that has shifted? Now, don't get me wrong. There's still clients that meet with 5, 6, 7, whatever. Yeah, but because they have so much at their fingertips today, and because they can do so much research today, they don't have to meet with 5 agents anymore, right? They can eliminate a few of them as they go, right? You finish setting an appointment with one, you better believe they're doing some research on you and deciding whether they're keeping that appointment or not.
Yeah.
So fast forward to today, right now. Now, I know you mentioned if somebody didn't want to do the video editing themselves. By the way, can you do video editing through YouTube also?
You can edit it once it's up, but not really much. It's like clipping out a couple things back and forth. But I was using like iMovie for free on my Mac.
Yep.
There's obviously Adobe Suite you can use, which is like, again, it's a whole process to learn. And if you're not a super creative person to begin with, I would go hire somebody.
Go hire somebody. And the company you mentioned was Upwork. Is there other ones that you would recommend when it comes to video editing specifically?
Like Fiverr has it to where you can hire people as well. It's not for $5. They'll upcharge you to like maybe $100 a video. But still, I think the time that you're getting back to be able to go either shoot more content or spend time with your family or whatever it is worth it.
So Fiverr or Upwork. Any others that come to mind?
Those are the top 2.
And today, I would imagine you probably have someone in-house that's doing it?
Yeah, so every Thursday we're time blocked. I've got a guy who's like on staff, part-time. So from 8:30 to 12:30 every Thursday, we shoot content.
And you've got a schedule?
We do.
How do you come up with the ideas today for the content you shoot? We heard about kind of the early days.
Yeah.
How do you come up with it today? Because, of course, I know what it's like. Hey, the videographer is going to be here from this time to this time, so we're going to have a full schedule. We're going to maximize this, right?
Yeah.
So how do you come up with what you're going to do during that time?
So I think that for us, luckily, there's always new areas popping up here, new communities. So there's always new tours I can do. But then once you get going and you're consistent, I would call it the repeater video. So you go back over the past year and look at what video did well, and I'm actually just going to refresh that. So like we're consistently going back and redoing the top 5 reasons to move to Windermere or living in Windermere, just making it new and fresh.
Do you name them differently?
Yeah.
So let's talk about that for a second, because I know that is a little secret sauce in the video world. The actual name, the title, the description. So what are some things that you've learned through that process that get you really good results with your video views, specifically because of the titles or because of the descriptions?
Yeah, so I think like if you did an amazing, I've got a good friend of mine in Calgary who only does home tours. He's got 15,000 viewers, big agent, right? But he does these condo tours or luxury home tours. He doesn't name them 123 Main Street tour, right? As the title of the video. It's like luxury home in Calgary or luxury condo overlooking blah, 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 right? It's something that people would actually search.
People that would Google that.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of tools out there that you can use. My favorite is TubeBuddy and Morning Fame are the 2, and you can actually see how much traffic is getting, and that's how we actually create all of our videos. We start with the title.
Can you repeat those 2 resources you just shared with us and tell us what they do? Pretend we don't know anything about them.
Yeah, so TubeBuddy is essentially, we'll do analytics on your channel. So I post a video and it'll tell you, here's how you screwed up, here's how you did well, so that you're kind of like Monday morning quarterback, right? Morning Fame allows you to do title research where you can say, okay, I'm thinking about this title or this video that I'm gonna shoot. Is it good or not based on traffic out there?
And that's called Morning Fame.
Yeah.
And so it'll actually tell you based on what the title is, whether it'll have success or not.
Correct.
Yep, so you're using that. What about the actual description or anything else that goes along with the YouTube video to help or that could hurt your results?
So there's 2 things. The description, the first 200 characters of your description goes along with your title, essentially. So you want to basically reiterate your title in those first 200 characters in some way. So if you're doing a video on moving to Austin, the first 200 characters should be like, have you ever thought about moving to Austin? Yep. Right? And then you can just kind of go the rest of the way and just knock it out. Using hashtags in your description also is this thing that YouTube used over the past year. So if your title is moving to Austin, put a hashtag down at the bottom, moving to Austin, it'll show up and help you with SEO juice.
Got it. Okay. So adding hashtags to the descriptions on YouTube will help.
Yep.
Got it.
Not that that's different than tags.
Yep.
So that's like down at the very bottom. Tags are just not as used anymore.
Okay.
But it's a very similar system.
So talk to us about tags. Why aren't they used anymore? And if they're not being used as much, are you still using them, and why?
Yeah, so it's like just if you were going to there's a list of things you need to do right first, tags is almost last.
Yep.
And so the title, the description, the thumbnail are massively important.
Title, description, thumbnail, meaning the thumbnail is the image
photo.
on the video before they hit play.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the other thing, is if you create this amazing video and you're super proud of it, but your photo is just whatever random one YouTube allows you to, they pick for you.
A random one, yep.
Which is just a screenshot of something of the video.
Correct.
You're not going to get the click-through, and people won't click to watch. And so if
Why is that? Why will that hurt your click-through? If you're
if
just letting YouTube grab one and it's just a picture of your face kind of messed up because you're in the middle of saying something.
Yeah, so it's a psychology thing, right? So like if you're trying to stop the scroll, right? So if someone's scrolling through YouTube looking for moving to Sarasota, what's the video that's best in their mind going to give them the best experience? So that thumbnail is essentially drawing somebody in on the experience of what they're going to watch.
Yep.
And then it's up to you to actually have good content to keep them there.
And in the thumbnail, do you put the title also, or abbreviated version of the title?
Abbreviated version, yeah. So usually no more than 3 to 4 words.
Yep.
That's one thing you got to remember. You're optimizing for mobile. So like if you're on your big computer screen and the thumbnail looks amazing and it's got all these words in it, by the time it gets onto the camera, it's tiny.
Yep.
So you got to make sure that you got some really poppy looking words.
Yep. So no more than 3 to 4 words in the thumbnail. What about the title? We talked a little bit about catchy titles. Is there any rule or any things that you've learned about the do this or don't do this when it comes to the title of the videos?
Yeah, I think again, just doing something that goes against the SEO in regards to like, are people actually going to be searching for this title? If you go against that, then you're not going to show up. So the other thing would be watch time. So like the 4th of the 5 that I talk about, watch time is huge. So that's actually how long do people actually watch the video? So, and YouTube docks you. If you have a 10-minute video and people are only watching 2 minutes of it, it's a bad video.
Yep.
If you're watching 6, 7 minutes, they know like, oh, this is somebody we want to help push, and they will help you show back up in the rankings. So how do you do that? How do you get a better
I was going to say,
video?
so how do you have a higher percentage of watch time?
So a lot of times video, or especially realtors, are very weird about this. They're like, hey, I'm Ken Pozek with Keller Williams, and I'm the most amazing agent in the world. So if you want to buy a house or sell a house in Orlando, make sure you watch this video. How often do you think people are going to watch the rest?
They're not.
They're not. And so you want to have that hook in the beginning that has nothing to do with you.
Yep.
And then deliver on it along the way, providing value for the watcher.
Yep. So can you give us an example of a couple hooks that you've used that you've had success with?
I think it's just whatever the title is. It's like, hey, so today we're going to talk about the top 5 reasons to move to Orlando. You might have heard a couple of them, and maybe you haven't. So make sure you stay tuned, right? And then we get right into it. And at the end, I use the Gary Vaynerchuk sort of jab, 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 right hook, which is like value, 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 value. And at the end, I ask for the business. So if they've watched a 8-minute long video, I'm like, hey, listen, if you got any value out of this, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And if you're looking to buy or sell a house anywhere in Central Florida, I want to be your real estate resource of choice. My email is, and that's it.
What would be the benefit of them? I mean, I know the benefit to you of them hitting the subscribe button, but how do you convince them to subscribe? What is I've always felt like it has to be a compelling reason for me to click that button other than just one cool video. So how do you convince them to hit the subscribe so that way you have more YouTube followers?
So depending on the bucket for me, and the bucket, we've got like 3 different buckets: people moving to Orlando, kind of people that already live here, and then something else real estate related. And so if it's like a food review, like, hey, if you enjoyed this food review and you want to see more, we're putting out videos just like this every single week, so make sure you hit the subscribe button. And that usually does it.
So giving them value, giving them more of what they've already watched. Obviously, if they made it to the end, what you're saying is they were interested, or they liked your personality, or they liked what you had to say, so they're more likely to subscribe.
That's right.
So you're always waiting to the end to get them to subscribe, or are you talking about subscribing in the beginning as well?
So we have like a little graphic that pops up halfway through the video, but for the most part, I don't say anything about it till the end.
Got it. Okay, good. So in our last few minutes together, if I'm thinking about what I'm going to hear over the next 3.5 days includes a lot of talk about video. Why YouTube? And if not YouTube, what other type of video should I be considering?
So we chose YouTube to go all in on, other than like TikTok or Instagram, just because it's evergreen. Like you can create evergreen content that's going to get found for years. Like I don't know about you, but if I was looking for the best restaurant in Orlando, like you probably some of you guys did that when you came here to town, right? Did you go to TikTok first to search best restaurant in Orlando? You went to Google, right? Or Yelp or something else, right? So us, since YouTube's owned by Google, we're going to go on all of that because it's evergreen content that people aren't just going to forget.
Makes a lot of sense. And so do you also mess with, and I know we talked about this a little bit ago, but I want to finish with this discussion. Are you taking your skill set, because your skill set in video is obviously, cream of the crop. Are you taking that to other platforms outside of YouTube? Are you dabbling in some of the other resources available, such as Instagram Reels or Facebook Story and some of the new stuff?
Yeah, so that's 2022 is like, we're big on that. We're going to keep doing YouTube exactly the way we're doing it.
Got it.
And we're going to add on more of it as a brand building than, YouTube is lead gen for us.
Yep.
The rest is brand building. So once we get them into our cycle, how do I keep them there and keep them engaged?
Yeah.
That's our goal.
Yeah, well, I'm curious to watch that journey for you. I know it'll be a successful one. Anything else that we haven't talked about yet that you want to make sure that you share as it relates to your success with video, or anything that the audience should do or do not?
Yeah, I think when you think about video, you think about the commitment, the time commitment, all these other sort of things, and you're like, is this just to get leads?
Yep.
It's not. It's so much more than that. Like, really, if you nail video, everything else becomes easier. Mm-hmm. Like in our part, like, not only do people reach out to us to buy and sell, but people want to join our team like crazy. Like I don't have a prospecting problem for talent anymore. Mm-hmm. I have a constant full of pipeline. Sure. If you want to get known to be like the person in your city, video is the way to do that, right? You sending out your canned email to whomever is not going to do it. Yep. But getting to be known as your place with video gets you more agent referrals, gets you all that stuff.
I got to believe it also helps with your conversion a lot, as you mentioned, right? Because they've already watched a video or two, and forget about the fact that even if they don't call you because of video, right? You're not going to have 1 million come list me's the first year that you dive into this, but you might notice yourself all of a sudden converting more listing appointments because of your presence and your image on YouTube versus the other agents that they're interviewing.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of our pre-listing package as well. Like, it's all done via email. Like, hey, by the way, you live in Windermere. Here's another couple of videos to kind of show you the content that we put out and how we attract, and it makes it a little bit different than what the other agents are going to do. And they inevitably always mention it on the listing appointment.
Awesome. Ken Pozek, everybody. Let's hear it for him. Thank you, sir. Good job. Good stuff. Thank you. Let's hear it for him.